Hey everybody, welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina, Kristina. This is where we read book, talk about books. No special effects, no theme music, nothing special going on here. We're getting close to the end here. I hate ending this series because that means I gotta wait till September. But we are getting a new one in like 2 weeks. We're counting down. And we're talking about my favorite author of all times, and that means I overshare with you. I try not to tell you the plot or the mystery of the book. I leave that up to you to discover. However, I am huge spoiler on character development because I love the characters so much. They're a part of my life. They're imaginary, whatever you want to call it. If you could please take the time to like and subscribe, I'd appreciate it. Those of you who have subscribed, much appreciative. I need a gazillion more, maybe by next Christmas, because last Christmas we tried and we didn't get anywhere. So we'll see what happens. Maybe for my birthday. My birthday's next month. Shall we see it? But anyways, we are talking about my favorite author here, and as you know, I am a big audio fan. And for the Read Your Own challenge, all of these books that we are reading are books I own. I own all 60 of these. I own all 30 Laura K. Hamiltons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. How many? 10 Mary Gentrys, 12 Mary Gentrys, and all those books, all 3,000 books in this house. I own them all, and we've been reading them all. So there's your Read Your Own with your challenge. Oh, and this year I made a New Year's resolution. I'm not gonna log all the books in Goodreads, so I can do one of those fancy things that other people did at the end of the year where they say how many pages they read and how many books they read. Because by the end of last year, I had read so many books I couldn't even keep track. So hopefully Goodreads will do that for me. I'm thinking about getting back to Flashback Mondays. I'm thinking about it. I love that magazine, and I could talk about it forever. So anyways, we are talking about book 50. 50 in Eve Dallas. Eve Dallas. And like I said, I listen to Miss Susan Erickson all the time. I love her doing the voices. And we've had a couple of interesting covers. They started about 3 or 4 books ago. And I don't like this one very much. I like the one with Manhattan. I like the crossword puzzle. I like the tell the difference between the two scenes. But this is a little, I don't know. It's got Nora, and that's good. When you look at it from far away, that's good. But when you look at it from close up, it's little blocks. It's like a pixel thing. So I like it better far away. Because when you look at it close up, it's just the pixels. So, anyways, we've got a murder case. And so if someone sent you a gift and it was from an unknown sender, and I wish I had one of those, but I don't. You remember the legs pantyhose for those females? It came in the egg years ago. Oh, imagine one of those hermetically sealed, and when you opened it, toxins came out and you died within minutes. Would you open, if you got a package of candy for Valentine's from an unknown sender, would you open it? Would you take the chances? Well, depending on who you are. I mean, if you're nobody like me, it's got to be like, I bought it myself. Or if you're, rich and powerful and have gazillion friends and huge on social media and someone sends you a gift and they send it anonymously, you gotta be a little questionable. Because, you never know these days. And sometimes I miss it. We talk about this sometimes on the website and Facebook and stuff. When I was a little kid, there was this elderly couple on my block. They were pushing 100. They died a few years after this. But they would give freshly homemade popped popcorn, and we would eat it as we trick or treat. Today, years later, they'd come with the pins in the food. Now they come with other stuff. But back in the day when things were, in naive and we had neighbors we actually knew, it would be nice to actually know my neighbors and have a working relationship with my neighbors. I don't know anybody. I miss those days. I miss my hometown days when we knew who our neighbors were. And I miss being able to go and visit and hang out and catch up on what's their lives. But those days have long, long gone. All the families got long lost too. So anyways, we are talking about golden in death, and someone is sending golden eggs to certain people, and we do not know why. You will have to read the book to discover that. But we have our first victim, and we go and take care of that situation. And at first they worry that Eve was contaminated, that the first on scene were contaminated by this deadly toxin, but they all turn out okay. Apparently it has a short lifespan, just long enough to kill you, then disappear. So how's it going there? What? What? Come here. What? What's the matter? So, and I'm going to mention this a few more times during this thing, but ever since the ICOV case, Origin in Death, I believe, and Nadine, let me back up here. Eve is a lieutenant with the New York City Police and Security Department. Rourke is her husband, and Peabody is her partner. McNabb is Peabody's cohab, and he works in EDD. He's a detective in the electronics division. Feeney was her mentor and the first person that brought her into homicide, and he is now captain of EDD. Whitney is her boss. Mira is the shrink, and Rourke is her husband. Somerset is the major domo. Galahad is their cat, and Rio is the ADA, and Louise and Charles. We haven't seen them in a while. Promises in Death, we do a lot of Louise. I like Louise and Charles. I like catching up on them. Louise is a doctor, and Charles is a former licensed companion, but now he is a sex therapist. So we've had character progression. When we first meet Charles, he's doing A, and then he meets Louise, and their life goes. And it's progressing. They're growing. The relationship is growing. They got married and all this kind of stuff. I like the character progression from book to book to book. So, and also, back to my original thought here, was that due to Origin in Death and Nadine's book, the ICOV Agenda, and the movies, and the fact that Nadine won the Oscar and the movies out there, Eve has got a little notoriety. And I love to talk about those parts of the book, and I love to share them with you because I love and enjoy these books so much. And they're on their way to question the delivery person. And she has nothing to do with the whole thing. She just delivered it. But the interaction is cute, and I enjoyed the interaction. So I will talk about the interaction. Moments later, when the static on the intercom, somebody demanded, "Who is it?" "NYPSD." "Yeah, right. NYPSD," Eve repeated and held her badge up to the Judas Hall. "I'm calling in to check that before I open the door." "Dallas, Lieutenant Eve. Peabody Detective Delia, Cop Central." "Yeah, right again." Eve waited, actually heard a squeal from inside, then rising female voices before locks began to clunk. She heard the distant metal slide of riot bar before the door popped open. Two women who stood gaping hit about the same age. One was tall, busty blonde, the other just hitting average height with a small build, a mixed-race brunette. Both had big blue eyes. "Holy!" they said in unison. "You look just like Marlo Dunn did in the vid." The blonde continued, "Or Marlo, I guess she looked like you. We saw it twice." "Great. She should get used to it," Eve thought. She'd never get used to it. I just love it. Don't you just love it? Don't you want to talk about it and share it? And then we get home and she's having some issues with her Eve and her marriage rules. Eve's got all this stuff, and it's just because she was late, really late. She didn't expect the looming Somerset, but there he stood, tall and bony and black, his cadaverous face set, his dark eyes ouring their stare at her face. She reached into her bag of insoles, but he spoke before she could pull one out. "He's worried. He'll pretend otherwise, but he heard about your exposure to a toxic material." "I told him I was fine. I'm fine." When Somerset only continued to stare, she had a big feeling the former urban war medic intended to do his own exam. Big no. "Have they identified the substance?" "I don't know. I'm going to check. I'm fine." And it goes on. She jogged up. She followed the marriage rules, she thought, and she still felt as if she screwed up somehow. So they talk a little, and "They cleared me right at the scene." "So you told me." Still those wildly glorious blue eyes studied her face before he lifted her hand, kissed it. "Have they identified the toxin?" "I need to check, but not since I checked an hour ago." And they do some more talking. And she says, "Yes, of course, but it's appreciated. Now I made a bargain with myself or fate to your benefit, that when you came home to me, there would be pepperoni pizza." She brightened right up. "Really?" "Such is the depth of my love, I'm not insisting you eat a side of good vegetables. If you asked me right now, I'd eat them. So same goes. You could have them on the pizza." She shot him a sincere, horrified look. "You'd ruin a perfectly good pizza?" I don't know what I was thinking. So they talk more pizza, and she talks about the case, and she tells him what happened. And then, all right, I did that already. So Louise and Charles come over, and Louise knew the doctor that got killed. So we have those moments. But then we have the next day. We've had this discussion before, and we've brought it up in many of the previous books before. But Eve has this thing about money, and Rourke has pounds and pounds. He's a billionaire, right? But she wants to live off her own salary. Now, technically, I think that her life has gotten better. She's living. She doesn't have to pay rent. She doesn't have to pay water or electricity. She doesn't have to pay for her clothing. Rourke is forever buying her clothing, and he's buying her she's one book. It was pointed out that she had $6,000 boots on. She had no clue, and that was discussed. And she has really trouble taking money from him. And they where is it now? But before we get there, I want back up a second. I was talking about the clothes. We catch up with characters from the last book. And I like that we have the little catch up, the little discussion that's going on. I enjoyed the catching up with the characters. So she goes through the clothes, and then she says, what planet are you buying? While not buying Mars as yet, he said with a smile, I do have some business regarding the colony, but prior I'll attend the first staff meeting at Andean later this morning. And that's the school from Concealed in Death that he was planning on doing the demolition. That was that book. After which we'll have a secondary meeting, including some of the staff of DACUS, as we'll want them working together as needs be. She glanced over. You could potentially have minors who come to DACUS for shelter transferred to the school. That's the hope. And they talked some more. And she said, and Rochelle's, she's working out brilliantly. She'll mourn her brother for some time. He touched Steve's hand. But you gave her and her family closure. She told me during a brief conversation yesterday that she thinks of him when she's in the school, thinks what a difference it would have made in his life, and how proud he would be she's a part of it. She's moved in with crack. Yes, she did. Amused at her tone, not disapproving so much as baffled. He quirked an eyebrow. Problem? It wasn't actually horrible, and why we're more or less on the subject of Andiam. I told you Jake and his bandmates have volunteered to guest instruct from time to time. Music and songwriting. Nadine's rock star's okay. He is, and our Nadine, in addition to taking some of our students, the estimable Quilla, as an intern, will also come in now and then, talk journalism, screenwriting, and writing in general. She'd be good at it, Eve thought. Nadine knew her stuff in and out and sideways. You're pulling in a star-studded crew. Yogurt wasn't horrible, but the omelet was terrific. Are you going to guest star? From time to time, vocals, designers, Mavis and Leonardo, etc. We'll want a well-rounded curriculum. And they go through it. And then the first of two sessions. The first of two mentions of this particular thing. What I was saying before about the money. Where is it? Oh, I need to get started. She got up to gather up her badge, restraints, pocket knife, link, communicator, some cash before putting on her jacket. Rising, giving Galahad a warning look, Rourke went to her, gathered her in. Distressed, she hugged back. That feels like worry. Don't start the day with worry about me. Oh, this wasn't it. All right, maybe it's the next day. I'm sorry. I'm getting out of order. So we'll come back to the money scene. I'm out of order. I'm sorry. I got ahead of myself. I apologize. I was wrong. A little closer. So even Peabody go to question some the medical staff where the doctor worked. And after leaving the medical doctor's office, Peabody is forever thinking food. We're going to stop in this bakery just up here. Oh, come on, man. Apple turnover, loose pants. Louise said Abner would sometimes bring pastries or flowers into the clinic. Let's check and see if there's anything there. We're going to need to hit the clinic too. Talk to the staff, go through his records. We could split a turnover. If you split one, you're basically not even having one because it's half. When you cut calories in half, it's a good thing. In fact, Peabody warmed to the theme. It's an admirable thing. What if I don't want a turnover? It's half, so it's not a turnover. It's practically a minus over, because who doesn't want all that yum or half the yum? Why is it a turnover anyway? Why isn't it just a hand pot? You turn over the pastry, Peabody said as she opened the door to the bakery. To keep the apple goodness in size. Oh, smell that. So we discover what the toxin was. We do some more talking. We do some more interviews. They talk to Louise again. She's setting up a murder board. And I brought this up just a little bit. We'll just go through it just a tad. Because we had a scene in Second Degree with Patterson's book with Boxer, and how her boss had called in the FBI and was having a briefing with the FBI without Boxer, and Boxer was the lead investigator in the department. And I said, Whitney would never ever do that to Eve, ever. He would never usurp Eve like that. He would never call in people behind her back. He would call her, he would let her know, he would bring her in, he would include her in everything. But Boxer's boss didn't do that. And I was really annoyed and pissed off about that, because I know how well Whitney treats Eve. So when we got to this scene, I'm on my way to a meeting with Chief Tibble and the mayor now that I have your report. I apologize for the delay, Commander. Detective Peabody and I have been in the field. Whitney waved that away with one finger as he stood at her board. While procedure and policy demand we report this death and its circumstance to Homeland, the lab results indicate this wasn't an act of terrorism. No, sir. Not only was this act very victim-specific, the killer took steps to be certain the poison was contained to a very restricted area and it would have dissipated quickly. So you see, her boss understands and listens to his employee and supports his employee, unlike Boxer's. I felt very cheated by Boxer's boss. So they spend the more day interviewing and then home. And she goes over her notes. Okay, now we're up to the money part. This is the next day. And this is what I was talking about previously. If you've stuck with me this long, I had made a mention of the money issue with Rock previously. So this is, she's getting dressed again. Rourke lifted an eyebrow as she reached for a handful of credits and cash. Is this all the money you have? She shrugged. It's enough. It's barely enough to buy a cart, dog, and a bag of chips. He stood, pulled a clip out of his pocket, peeled off some bills. I don't want your money. Now see, they're married. She should look at it as our money, their money, our. But Eve does not do that. Even after 3 years, almost 3 years of marriage, she still sees herself as separate from Rourke. It's just her mindset. He eyed her, saw a flicker of temper, ignored them, and that would be something you make clear at every opportunity. Regardless, you're not leaving this house with less in your pocket than a careless teenager might have. It's my pocket. Just as irked, he simply stuffed the bills in that pocket, and now it holds sufficient to see a professional through a workday. Don't be more of an ass about it than necessary. She might have yanked the bills out, tossed them back at him, but that would make her feel like an ass, damn it. Instead, she marched over, pulled open a drawer, and dug out a memo cube. Dallas Lieutenant Eve owes Moneybags Rourke. How much? 500. 500 American. She tossed the cube on the table, then shrugged the jacket over her harness. I've got to go. See that you take care of my irritable cop. Yeah. and she walks down the stairs, go out, and then she's saying she'd meant to hit a machine for more cash. She'd forgotten. That's all. That didn't make her careless, it made her busy. Plus, the way he shoved the damn money into her damn pocket was just so raw. And now she had too much money in her pocket and had to stop and get more in case she spent some to pay him back. So she'd have more too much in her pocket. It made her tired. You gotta see it. You gotta see it. You gotta see it. Ah, you have to see it. I love it. Don't you love it? So then we're up to the next day. Actually, I skipped. Now, one of the ongoing things, it's been an ongoing thing with the shoot. Thought this would help. Um Ongoing thing with the series has been Jenkinson and his tie. Eve walked into the bullpen at Central and saw Jenkinson's tie. She figured it would burn your corneas if you viewed it from space. It was as if an evil rainbow infused with acid had exploded. Swirls and streams of ferocious color covered every inch. She swore they moved as if alive. She wondered whether if he dropped any crumbs from the cruller he munched on, those swirls would absorb them and grow. So she has more um, interviews. She discovers the key element clue in her search. Um, there's another victim, and it's an associate spouse of Dr. Mira's. So he gets involved, and it's nice to see Dr. Mira again. And I have this humorous little part to share with you, and it's in three parts. But it's enjoyable. It's fun. I enjoy it so much. So she goes back to Central, and uh, just as she started the turn into the garage at Central, Eve had to hit the brakes to avoid mowing down a naked guy. He ran like the wind, his hair flying, his dong swinging merrily, with a handful of uniforms in hot pursuit. Pedestrians scrambled clear as he loped along like a gazelle. Well, Eve watched another moment. Even in New York, that's something you don't see every day. He's really fast, Peabody observed. We could probably cut him off with the car. Probably. Instead, she drove into the garage. Uniforms need to get the lead out of what she wondered when she pulled into her slot. Just what do you get the lead out of? Why would anybody haul lead around anyway? Language is ridiculous. I always thought it was your ass, not literally, Peabody added. Before they went down that road, just like you're slow because you got the lead ass. What kind of ass do you have if you're fast? Eve countered as they walked to the elevator. What's the opposite of lead? Feathers? Hey, you're a real feather ass. Nobody says that. But they got in the elevator. But they could, she continued, because people just make up shit. Then other people say it, and then it's a thing. So she has some more interviews. She has to see Mira. I'm just trying to share the characterizations with you, and you can it's I'm leaving the mystery up for you. And she remembers Raylene Straffo. That was an interesting case. That was a really omen type child. But she talks with Mira, and then she's on the glides going back to her office, and she says she overhears this conversation. You know, remember the old elevators where one would be going down and one would be going up, the escalators, however you did that. However, I've got the grooves in my leg. Way back when I wore heels, my heel got stuck in the escalator and I went over, and the friends associates caught me, but I have the permanent prints of the escalator in my leg. So she took the glides back to give herself time to think, and found herself amused as some cops heading in the same direction discussed the crazy naked guy. Son of a bitch made it 20 blocks just sailing along, dick swinging. Patrick says he barely winded when they finally caught him. Claimed he was exercising his constitutional right, freedom of religion, because he was just giving his thanks to the god of spring, and clothes were a societal construct or some shit. It takes all kinds, his companion commented. Eve got off the glide at Homicide, walked into the bullpen. She tried to avoid looking at Jenkinson's tie. Saw Carmichael and Santiago debating hotly some point of a case. Peabody deep in her research and guzzling a fizzy. It took all kinds, she thought, and went into her office to prep for the interview. So she has a bunch of more interviews, and she discovers some pertinent people in the case. And when she gets home later in the day, we're going to finish our discussion about the money. And so she tells me a few minutes about the case. And I need to, she paused, gathered herself. I need to say something about this morning. Said to comfort, he went momentarily blank. This morning? You've already let it go. You were pissed, but you've already let it go. I was pissed too. Remembering, he shrugged. Hardly the first or the last time for either of us. No. She let him go, stood face him. I know people get pissed over money, how they bash brains in over it. I don't see either of us going that far. I know it's stupid for us to get pissed over it. It's supposed to be the lack of it or the carelessness of it, the greed for it, whatever. Not the fact that there's damn much of it. He traced his fingertip down the dent in her chin. I don't plan for that to change. Oh, I got that. The thing is, I don't want to get used to you peeling off a bunch of money for me whenever I'm running a little short. I wouldn't have run short if I'd gotten by a machine. And god damn it, I forgot to hit one today, which makes your stupid point. I still have your IOU. I don't want to get used to it, she repeated. Start depending on you. I've gotten used to so much, depend on so much. You, this place, the life we have, the clothes in my closet, the damn coffee I drink. Why should that worry you? It doesn't, or only a little sometimes, which is my point. It was stupid to get pissed because you lent me some money. But I don't want to start thinking, hey, no problem, walk or cover it. I don't want that for either of us. It's important to me. I understand that if you understand it's important to me, you don't walk out of the house with empty pockets. They weren't all that empty. Anyways, that's just part of it. I need to say. Duran, he shouted, and he's trying to remember if he kissed her goodbye that morning. Did he say he loved her? Did he kiss her goodbye because she's gone? And I thought I was pissed and I walked out. I didn't kiss you goodbye. I didn't tell you I love you. And damn it, who knows better than I do that everything can change, can break, and you never get that chance again. And that is true. That is very, very true. You hear that all the time. Never leave angry. Never walk out of a room without saying you love a person. If you're going to work, we've got that thing. You never know. So you always don't leave angry. You'll regret it for the rest of your life if something happens. So we're gonna get a little lighter here for a little bit. But that was just a point I wanted to. So that this is the next day, and they're having a discussion, and she starts off with, "That's why I'm going to look at the parents of the rich kids. The apple in the tree. What about them?" she asked as she got up to dress. "How the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. If you want an apple, you'd pick it before it fell." She shimmied into her underwear. "Otherwise, it'll just lie there and rot. Not if you pick it up. That's why they call them windfalls." She frowned at him as she buttoned on her shirt. "They call apples windfalls? It's the concept of something falling at your feet, often unexpectedly. Somebody tossed off a roof can fall unexpectedly at your feet. How's that a windfall?" He watched her pull on her pants. "We'll clarify it by saying something worthwhile falling at your feet. The body might have a solid gold wrist unit and pockets full of cash, so that's pretty worthwhile." "Only you," he murmured, "and I obviously haven't yet have had enough coffee to sort this out." You gotta love it. You gotta love it. You have to love it. It's just too much. It's just too much. Yes. So we just had all that talk about money, right? We had all that talk about money. And then she uses Rourke to take a shuttle to East Washington to go interview a suspect. And she's learning. And they get to the other location. So they finish the shuttle, they get off the shuttle. On the other end, a shuttle employee stood beside the car with its codes. "It's already programmed for you, Lieutenant. When you're finished, you can leave the codes at the desk and the car out here. We'll take care of it." "Okay, thanks." It was a DLE, she thought, saw that straight off. This one in Sirius black with a few bits of shiny chrome and a temp tag. "It looks good in black." Peabody walked to the passenger side. "Still really unassuming and ordinary. And I'll bet it has all the juicy bells and whistles. I didn't think the DLE was on the market yet." Eve got in, felt the seat perfectly conformed to her specifications, and Peabody got in and sighed. Eve knew the passenger seat did the same for her partner. "It's Rourke," she said. She engaged the codes. "Good morning, Lieutenant. Your auto chef is fully stocked and your personal settings already programmed. Feel free to change anything that does not suit." And then it talks about the case. But they go to interview all these people, and they think they're so high and mighty, and sometimes it's just it's irritating. But they're going to talk to his head schoolmaster, and Peabody, who knows her stuff and knows her furniture because she's a free agent. She's also a crafter. Her father is also a carpenter. Her brother's also a carpenter. "I think you'd find it interesting that the fabric on the couch, those chairs, that's going to go for $600 a yard." Eve gave them another look. "That's a lot. I assume not being updated on fabric prices. Figuring about 14 yards, maybe 15 for the sofa, another 12 to 14 for the chairs. Add some more yardage for the piping. You can do the math." Eve said, "I really can't." "Well, you're going to hit over 20 couple thousand, and that's before labor, before the fancy custom pillows, before the freaking sofa and chairs. You're covering before look around the fancy interior decor fee. Just the sofa and chairs. I'm betting 40 large. For a sitting area in a headmaster's office seems excessive. Oh yeah, warming to the theme, Peabody gestured with both hands. Add that desk. That's cherry wood. The real deal. And so are those shelves. Plus it looks custom. That's going to go for 10 large right there. You can be handy, Peabody. I know my wood and fabric. You put it all together with the tables, the lamps, the custom valances over the windows, and yeah, add the custom cherry frames on all the photos. Jesus, Egyptian cotton towels and all that. You're cruising towards a couple $100,000. That's some decorating budget. You know what else, Peabody? I don't know if I can take any more. I have wood and fabric envy. There's not a single book in here. In the assistant's area, in the assistant to the assistant's area. Not a single file or disc on the shelves. The office is all about hair. Yeah, it is. And even though I admire her taste, I don't like her already. And then they interview the headmaster, and Peabody goes off. And it's one of the first times we've ever seen Peabody go off. You conclude, Grange crossed her legs, twisted her lips into a sneer. You conclude I'm somehow indirectly responsible for 2 murders because I exercise my sexual freedom? I take considerable issue with your conclusions and hypotheses upon which they're based. I left Gold 8 years ago, cut all ties with the school, with New York, and you somehow believe that after 8 years, someone I may have slept with is punishing those who disagreed with my administrative method. Eve let the silence hang a moment. In a nutshell, on a look very deliberate of smug pity, Grange brushed at a wave of her hair. You had a state-based education, correct, Lieutenant? I did. Then you had, sadly, a bare-bones limited education. It's an unfortunate foundation for true critical thinking. You think, Eve said mildly, one rarely finds the brightest minds with such an educational disadvantage. And you, detective, you were raised and educated by free agents. That's right. A pity and a shame your parents didn't afford you a real education. Being raised in the foster system didn't allow Lieutenant Dallas much choice regarding her limitations. But your parents, detective, how foolish and selfish of them to put their own odd lifestyle ahead of the welfare of their children. Still, considering your disadvantage, I suppose you've both made the best possible career choice by becoming police officers. Eve started to speak, but Peabody jumped to her feet. You arrogant, entitled, condescending snub. You think your PhD makes you better? I'll tell you what I learned in my free-ager education. Besides all you teach in a high-priced tomb like this, I learned to plant and harvest, to cook, to weave, to sew. I learned woodworking mechanics. I learned about compassion and tolerance and kindness. You'll watch your tone in my office. No, I won't. I'm not one of your students or underlings. I'm a New York City police detective, and a New York City cop knows a lying sack when she sees one. So don't think you're going to sit there and insult my family, my vocation, or my lieutenant. You aren't worthy to wipe the boots she'll kick your ass with. There you go, Peabody. There you go. She has some more interviews. She treats Morris to breakfast out of her car auto chef. That's a new one. Uh, I'm trying to think. I don't think this is much. Let me look. Oh, the point of the book. The golden book, right? Which all should have been his, Rourke added. The golden egg makes perfect sense. Gold Academy, Rourke continued. There's that goose again. The one that laid the golden egg, darling. Kill the goose and the supply of golden eggs. Yeah, right, right. Oh, yeah, that's his smart little ass symbolism. The golden. And I was going to share this one last part. Nah. But she calls one of her cops for something, and it turns out he's at a poker game with Feeney, McNabb, Peabody, Carmichael, and a few others, and they all come to the rescue. So that's pretty much the end of this book. We are moving on to the next one. I really hope you enjoyed this and shared your enjoyment with me while we read through this book. I know I'm not going to tell you the mystery of it, but I tried to set it up a little bit that someone was killing somebody with toxins to a golden egg. But I try to share the character parts that I love so much. I love these characters, and sometimes you start talking about them like they're real people. So join me with the next book, and please join me for Star Trek Next Generation on Fridays. And let me know if you think I should continue Flashback Mondays. But of course, you need to go back and watch a few of those and let me know if I should do them. But I really appreciate if you like and subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed this book. We are moving on to Third Degree. Patterson. We'll go compare Whitney to Boxer's Bosses. I love Eve Dallas. There'll be no one else like her. So have a good day. Thank you.